Hello everyone, and welcome to using MyStatLab for the Math 13 homework. I'm your host, Greg Perkins. Hopefully you already watched the intro to the class about how to use Canvas and what's expected in the class. If you haven't, it's right over there, the intro video. Okay, so now about MyStatLab. So one thing I'm going to do is go over here to the syllabus and copy this code, Perkins 33137. And then head over to MyStatLab, and you can just Google, or I forgot to type MyStatLab, and then it fills in Pearson, that's the publisher. And I'll just go to the first one, because what I was looking for is this. If you haven't registered before, well, if you have, go ahead and sign in. But if you haven't, then go over here to Student to Register. It says you're going to need an email address, and you should probably use your student@Hartnell address, the course ID, which I just copied, and then a way to pay for it. So as far as paying for it, don't forget when you get to this third step, there will be a button that says temporary access, and you can use that to use it free for 14 days. After the 14 days, they will ask you very kindly to go ahead and pay for it. And if there's a little gap in there, they will freeze your account. They will not erase your work. They'll just freeze your account until you pay for it. And then your work is still there. You just continue working. Okay. Now let's see. Okay, so put the code. So let me just paste that in. And then, well, I already have an account, so it's just taking me to that. Let me see what happens when I tell it to sign in. Okay, so it just goes to the next step. All right, so one thing I wanted to point out is they do offer it for 120 bucks. That is if you wanted to use it for a whole year. Our class is only 16 weeks, so you don't need that. Use the cheaper one, $84.99. You can also go to the bookstore and use your voucher. The bookstore will probably mark it up a little bit for their profit, but if your bookstore voucher is paying for it, then it's free to you. The other thing I want to point out is over here it's going to say Math 13, Fall 22, taught by Greg Perkins. Okay. And then you just click that you want the cheaper one. Down here is the Get Temporary Access free for 14 days. So that's the other button to look for. Okay, now I need to actually log in my account. And then, of course, I have a few classes. So I'm just looking for Math 13. There we are. All right. So you can just go ahead and go to assignments. So let's say that you have looked at the notes, you watched the video that I made on section 1.1, you're ready to do the homework. They've got a link for it over here. I preferred to go over here to assignments because I also wanted to show you all of the homework for the whole semester is already here with all of the due dates. So the due dates are over here. Most of the time it's going to be 2 sections per week, sometimes 3 sections. Like at the beginning, chapter 1, especially 1.1 and 1.2, there's a lot, it's very basic, so we're able to do 3 sections. So let's say you're ready to do the homework on 1.1, you could just go to question number 1, which is going to be basic. Oh, and also the first time that you use the MyStatLab, it's going to say you need to allow pop-ups from Pearson's website. Since I'm using Chrome, it would over here in the right-hand corner say it was blocking the pop-ups, and then I just click on it, say allow the pop-ups from Pearson, because all of their homework questions are these little pop-up windows. Okay, so let's say that I read this question and I guess that the answer is B. I'm hoping that I got it wrong because I just guessed because I wanted to show you. Oh, well, anyway, my point is that you get 3 tries on every question. So if you get it wrong, okay, I'm gonna, sorry, I'm trying to get one wrong. Okay, let me just guess an answer. Okay, so that's incorrect, and then it gives you a little hint in here. So please read that hint, and then you're ready, and then you get another try. So you get 3 tries on every question. Now, if you need some help, you can go down here to My Help, and depending on the question, there will be more or less stuff in here. So tech help, you would rarely have to use that. That would be something like, every time I click B, it says my answer is D. You know, some small weird technical glitch like that. So you would hardly ever use that. StatCrunch, you probably wouldn't use until chapter 2 or 3. If you look at Canvas and you look at chapter 2, I actually made a video right here about how to use StatCrunch. So that's basically if you don't have a TI-84, although in the past there have been students that do have TI-84s, and for some stuff they like to use StatCrunch. So you could watch that video. Oh, now I need to go back to the questions. And what I need to do is find one that has more. Let me try question 11. So I think I'm gonna have to go to a different chapter, because if you look at this, it still has the same thing. Although I could tell you about this. If you wanna ask me a question, please use Ask My Instructor right here, because when they create these questions, they will change the numbers and change the questions just slightly. You know how it gives you 3 tries? Well, if you and your friend were sitting next to each other and you both opened the same question, they would be slightly different. And so if you're going to ask me a question, please use this Ask My Instructor, because then it gives me a copy of exactly what you were looking at. And then you can say, can you help me with this? I don't understand why they're using the number 500 or something like that. Okay, so that's at the times that you want help from me. Let me close this and go to a section where the questions probably have, they're a little more advanced. Let's go with, I'll try section 3.3. So, oh, this one also doesn't have that much. Anyway, so at times they can have more stuff in here. You can also go to the textbook and it will open the textbook to that particular section. So when I use the textbook, which I do actually use this at times, because it takes a while to open, I just then leave it open after that. So I'll either minimize it or something like that. Because once it's open, it goes pretty fast, but sometimes depending on the internet speed, it takes a little bit longer. And so once it's open, then I just leave it open. And it even has these little hyperlinks so that you can try it. And so for example, this looks exactly like one of the homework questions. They just changed the number. But because I'm in the textbook practice part, then I can just practice. And I'm just making up stuff right now. And then I can check my answer. And then once again, when you get it wrong, it gives you a description. You should be using this formula, etc. Okay. So I'm still searching for a question where they have more. Let's go with 2.2. So get more help. So now it has a video. So this is a video that they made about this particular section. And oh, I see. So they're basically saying, which video do you want to watch, using Excel or the graphing calculator? So if you're using the TI-84, then they have a little video about how to
using
make
the TI-8384 Plus calculator to construct a frequency distribution.
That guy's loud.
This video uses the example titled McDonald's Lunch Service Time.
Okay, so anyway, they have videos for each section, and then they also have this, which is very helpful, view an example. So if you look at these numbers, don't memorize them or anything like that, but just basically, if you look at these numbers, when you say view an example, what they're going to do is give you something, let me make the screen a little bit bigger. They're going to give you something that's very similar. So if you compare those numbers under there to these numbers, You'll see that they're very similar. And then they take you through step by step what to do, except the numbers are different. So when you go to do the homework question, it's going to be the same steps, but the numbers are slightly different. Also, when you say view the example, you can also say print it, but I'm not going to print it. See, when I say print it, then I don't have to do this step by step. It just gives me the whole thing. And then I don't have to go click next, click next. It shows me the whole explanation, and then I can just look through that. Also, the other good thing is it's now not covering up my work, and I can move it to the side, and then I can say, all right, I'm done with that. And now I can work on the work here while I've got the example over here on the side. That is definitely helpful. I actually use this sometimes myself because students will ask me a question from the homework, and then I'm like, well, why are they doing it that way? And I go in and I look at the step-by-step instruction as I realize, oh, they do it a slightly different way than I do it, but they get the same results at the end, so I need to explain it to the person that way. So that's helpful. Okay, so that's doing the homework. I just wanted to show you. There's also Help Me Solve This, but basically it takes you through the steps of this problem with these numbers, and then when you say, okay, I'm ready to do the homework question, then it switches the numbers anyway. So I would just say use view an example. It's basically the same thing. Something else, oh yeah, if you don't finish a question, then it reminds you still need to finish that question. And when you, if you look over here to the multimedia library, so this is basically all the stuff that the publisher has created. So you would tell it which chapter you're on, let's say chapter 2, and which section. So let's say section 2.2. And then if you just put select all, then it's going to show you everything that they've made for that section. So they'll take you through examples. So they have these example videos that are just 2 to 3 minutes long. They usually have a whole, here it is. They have a whole lecture. So this one is 11 minutes. So that's covering the whole section with all of its parts. Or you could just look at it one part at a time. There's using the technology. So that's the one that I just showed you a little while ago using the TI-83. There's PowerPoint, there's the book. So whatever they've made, it's all here under Multimedia Library. Okay, so that's about it. So we're using the MyStatLab for the homework. And basically when you finish it, you don't need to submit it. So once a week, I'll come into MyStatLab just to take the grades and import them into Canvas. And then each week you'll see your updated MyStatLab grade over there in Canvas. Oh, wait a second, I can't show you that because that would show you all the people's names. But anyway, so I import those grades into Canvas like once a week. All right, so let me know if you have any questions. Have a great rest of your day.